When you run your own business, you have to wear many hats, so to speak. And receiving phone calls, basically playing a secretary or receptionist, is one of those hats. I, for one, absolutely used to hate phone calls growing up. I never was good on the phone. I'm still not great at it, but one thing kind of changed my perspective along the way. I want to talk about that here today. Answering a phone call is so important to your business. It's a crucial part to the everyday aspect. They are job opportunities, and they are really good chances to win jobs and give a first impression to a customer. A few simple steps in the process can help you do this smoothly and effectively and get phone calls and opportunities answered almost every time. Hey, I'm Chad. This is Excavation and Revelation, the place where we talk excavating, the place where excavating tips and tactics are revealed, and strategies such as answering the phone call, answering questions are revealed. It seems pretty often when we get a phone call, it's at a poor time, and I'm always one of not answering the call when I'm actually in the middle of something. Usually my hands are dirty, greasy, I'm driving it. It's just not always a good time to answer a phone call. That doesn't mean that phone call, that interaction has to stop there. I like to try to set aside some time later in the day or on lunchtime to look at my phone, look at missed calls, and if they leave a message, definitely call them back. But even if they don't leave a message, I pretty often call them back just to see what's going on. Sometimes it's a wrong number, sometimes it's a spam call, but at least you know that you're attempting to try to get back to the customer who is potentially trying to get it to work for you. They have a need or a want that they need satisfied, and it's a potential to make some money. That is the main thing that I look at anymore anytime the phone rings. It is somebody basically saying, here, I have a need, I have a want, would you be able to do this for me, and I will pay you money. Pay you money for your skill, for your time, for your knowledge. That's why they turn to certain businesses. Whether you're advertising or just driving around, however they get your number, it doesn't really matter. There are different ways to go about that too. But they somehow found you, and they want to then ask you questions. They want to set up a time to maybe meet, look at the job, or maybe they're just kind of vaguely feeling the waters. Anytime that phone call takes place, whether you answer or not, you want to get back to them. And you always want to start out by saying who you are, what the company is, especially if you do happen to answer the phone. I called a business not long ago looking to service my water heater at my house. I called the number. The guy just answers, hello. And immediately, my first instinct was hang up or say, sorry, this is the wrong number, and hang up. But then I said, no. I said, is this so-and-so well drilling? And they said, yeah. I said, well, it's not really that called it anymore. We've kind of changed names. We go about things a little differently. I said, okay, I'm making sure I have the right number. He was then silent. I said that I just started then talking, but it was just a kind of a weird interaction that could have gone a lot smoother. Answer the phone in a nice voice, clear, say who you are, your company name, and go on from there. Then when they start talking, be very tentative, listen to what they're saying, then ask simple questions. This is a time to kind of feel the water a little bit for you as well. They want information on their end, but you also want information on your end. This might be a great opportunity to make some money, and have a bigger job. It also might be an opportunity that could get you in trouble. It doesn't really sound ideal. Ask them questions like, where is this located? It's always a good idea to get their address to see if it's even in your area of work before you get too involved in the phone call. There's not much sense of proceeding if they're 2 hours away and you only basically travel in an hour radius of your business. But instead of trying to write down their exact address, at that point, once they tell you where they are at, tell them later to actually text you the address with their name attached to it. That way, there's no guessing game if you heard something right or wrong, if something was spelled correctly. That way you can then look at the text message, you can then hopefully click on it, and it'll send you a link to the map. Sometimes there is no actual address. It might be a field, and they're going to try to explain to you on the phone. You go past the red fence, you get to the rock, you turn right. That's all well and good, but it's also very confusing. And if you're just trying to get to the gist of it, ask them to just simply send a pin. Hold down their finger on Google Maps and it'll drop a pin, and you can then send that to have them send it to you to know exactly where it is. That way there's no confusion. Once you ask them where the job is, then ask them their time frame. If it's something that they need done immediately and you know for a fact that you just can't squeeze it in, you don't even have to draw the conversation anymore. Just simply say, sorry, I can't get to it right now. I'm just really booked. I hope you understand, but thank you for thinking of me. And you can just kind of leave it at that. You don't want to just blow somebody off and say, no, I can't do it. You always want to be apologetic, but simply explain to them why this can't happen. And I do think they understand most of the time. Sometimes their expectations are just unrealistic. They just want things done right then and there. They don't understand how a business works, that there's a schedule. Definitely there's opportunities that come about, different windows that open, but they don't understand the schedule and how busy some of us are. So they might just have unrealistic expectations, and you just got to be clear with them. You also want to tell them things that they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear. I had a bad habit in the past of always telling people what they wanted to hear, that I would stress myself out by trying to fulfill that need in an unrealistic manner. I would give myself a very short window to do things. I would not give myself much of a cushion for profit, and I would end up stressing myself out because they had very specific criteria, and I thought I could do it. I would promise them one thing, but it would end up, I would always get it done, but it would always stress me out in the process. So just be very clear with them. Be very realistic, especially if you're not looking at the job on the phone. You just want to tell them, like, there's a lot of things you need to go over. At that point, then try to set up a meeting when you can look at the job. Try to get to it sooner than later to show them that you are interested. But again, we're all busy. We have to work it into our schedule. But try not to put it off too long. Because the more you delay with things, either returning the phone call or actually looking at the job, it's more of a chance for them to second guess you and your service and to potentially go with somebody else. If they're a smart customer in the beginning, they're going to go with a couple different bids anyways. They're going to contact a couple different outfits to come and look at their project so they can get different bids, get different perspectives, get different pricing. And the more you delay with your end of the bid, of the process, the more it's just going to have them question you and what you're all about. So just try to be real upfront with them, ask them those things, and try to get everything set up as quickly as possible. Again, if as they're talking to you, this doesn't seem realistic, it's not going to work out, you can just always at any time just kind of simply say, hey, thank you for the opportunity, thank you for thinking of me, but I don't think this is the right job for me. Maybe I don't have the machines to meet this job. Maybe recommend somebody else. Or at the same time, it is sometimes an opportunity to grow, to maybe rent a machine, to find a way to go out and meet this need for this customer. You just always want to be able to feel the waters. You always want to take advantage of any opportunity. You just don't want to say no right off the bat. You want to hear them out and be very clear with things. Once you set up the actual time to meet, do your best. Put on your calendar. Do your best to be there right when you say you are. Try to give them a short window, a short time frame. Don't just say, oh, sometime next week. That's very vague. It's usually not going to happen. The company I called about the water heater, I asked them when they could come out, and they gave me an answer, oh, not this week, but in 2 weeks we'll get back to you. And then 2 weeks rolled around, and I never heard, so I contacted them again. They had forgotten, and at this time, they just said, okay, we'll be out there next week for sure, and it'll probably be one of these 2 days. I even texted them right before that. I said, just to remind them, like, okay, I'll be here between these hours, and this all sounds good. I never heard another thing from them. So in my mind, they were just either too busy or they weren't interested. So you always want to make sure that when you're setting up a time, you're meeting people, and you're setting up a specific time. You're not just saying, oh, in a couple of weeks. If you're not putting it in your calendar, if you're not putting it in your notebook, chances are you're going to forget. And this is going to maybe give you a bad review at the end. It's just going to maybe say to somebody you're not interested. And that word of mouth could potentially get around. Whether you had all the best intentions of getting to that or not, you want to do everything within your power to make sure that you are marking on your calendar, that you're listening to them and you're making them feel important, and then that their job is important too. Because how this all comes into play is the better you make them feel, the more secure they feel, the more likely they are to go with you. You could say the exact same things as somebody. You could say it in a totally different way, though. But it's all about who they feel secure with, and if they feel some energy. There's just many different things when you're dealing with these interactions. And again, the exact same information can be passed along, but it's just little things about being clear, being specific, being energetic, not mumbling. Little things like that will go a long, long way for giving you a slight edge over your competition. It's a simple thing, a phone call, but again, it can be crucial to how you go about fielding your jobs. It can create some great opportunities, but it also could kind of shoot you in the foot if you don't answer, you don't call somebody back, you don't carry out what you actually say you're going to do. I hope that all makes sense. Let me know any comments, any interactions you guys had in the past, anything that kind of stood out, maybe an instance with somebody who just had unrealistic expectations in the past that may have a funny story. I'd love to hear it. Leave a comment below. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful. We'll catch you next time.